And the PBA Incorporated in association.
PBT Fall Tour, the Brunswick LA Open. The number 5 qualifier, Cindy Coburn, always tough on TV, 18-2 in the last 3 years. She'll face Robin Romeo from nearby Van Nuys, California, won 1986 title. The winner will face Betty Morris, 13 career titles, but none since 1980. Jeannie Maiden could lock up Bowler of the Year award with a victory today. And NIKKI Gianulias, the tournament leader. She's been close, but just seconds and third place finishes for Gianulias this year. ESPN, the Total Sports Network, and Bud Sports presents the Dewey Stevens Premium Light Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour Fall Tour. From Anaheim, California, it's the Brunswick LA Open. Brought to you by Dewey Stevens Premium Light, a wine cooler with a clear, clean, fresh taste, and 1/3 less calories. Dewey, you do me right. By Brunswick, making bowling better. And by Video Shopping Mall for the best buys and business opportunities in home shopping now on your local cable system. And welcome to the Brunswick Wonder Bowl in Anaheim, California. I'm Todd Donahoe, along with LPBT member Leila Wagner. And first off, Leila, congratulations, your first tournament victory ever last week in Tacoma, Washington.
Thanks, Todd. It was great. I had so many friends and family there supporting me. And, you know, I've had calls and letters from people all over the country, and it's really been great that to know these people are out there watching and supporting the girls. And on behalf of the rest of the tour, I'd just like to say thank you for coming in and watching and supporting us. We really appreciate it.
Well, you won in your hometown area, and we have a hometown gal in our very first match. Robin Romeo from nearby Van Nuys, California, taking on Cindy Coburn.
That's right. Robin is our hometown favorite this week, and I think she's looking for that support here. I think she'll get it.
We're set to get started. The Brunswick LA Open and match number 1 with Cindy Coburn versus Robin Romeo coming up next on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour Fall Tour. Finals of the Brunswick LA Open at the Brunswick Wonder Bowl in Anaheim, California. First match between Robin Romeo and Cindy Coburn.
Well, Cindy's looking for her second tour victory this fall tour. She won about 3 weeks ago, and she's been hot.
At the top of the program, we said that Jeannie Maiden could wrap up the Bowler of the Year award. If Cindy Coburn were to win this event, you're looking at 3 bowlers with 3 victories on the tour this year, and Coburn's first ball and got them all.
That's right. She got out of the gate really good, just picking that 4-pin. Cindy's always been good at carrying those high hits on television.
And now Robin Romeo, a local favorite from nearby Van Nuys, California.
Right, I think you'll notice the support here when she throws her ball.
Well, a light hit. There's Robin, 7 years on the tour. She has 4 pro titles and 1 this year.
Looked like Robin got to a little bit of a bad start here. She threw the ball a little farther right, never quite made it back, catch the head pin. She left herself with a washout, which is a very difficult spare. In order to pick this up, she needs to knock the head pin into the 10-pin.
1, 2, 8, 10, and she gets them all.
A super shot.
Talk about a confidence builder to leave yourself open in the first frame after your opponent has already scored a strike, and then to come back to get the 1, 2, 8, 10. That's a confidence builder. Look at the tournament average, 218.7 this week for Robin Romeo.
Again, she went just a little bit too light. She made an adjustment, but not quite getting it back high enough.
She'll have to adjust on both lanes because so far she has been wide right.
We've noticed with the short oil pattern that we have been on the last few weeks, as you practice, the lanes tend to tighten up. So your first few shots, you have to move to the right a little bit, and this enables you to get the ball to the pocket.
And she leaves the 8-pin. And so open in the second frame for Robin Romeo. And now comes Cindy Coburn. We'll see if she can take advantage of the open frame. And Cindy is a tough competitor on TV. In TV bowling appearances in the last 3 years, she is 18-2.
She's got amazing concentration.
Rolls a tight strike and gets it.
She really set that ball very short.
Look at that. She has 2 titles this year, 11 pro titles, but 2 this year. And once again, a victory today would be 3 titles this year for Cindy Coburn, and that would tie her for the lead with Jeannie Maiden and Lisa Wagner this year.
I was talking about her tripping those high hits. When she set that ball pretty short, she didn't quite get it out on the lane far enough. It drove a little too hard, tripping the 4-9.
She has a 24-pin advantage. That one through the nose and leaves a pin. A 214.6 average this week for Cindy Coburn, and a fine match play record as well.
Those 2 ties that Cindy had actually kept her in the TV finals. Tish Johnson, who finished in 6th place, was only 16 pins behind her. It's essential to get those bonus pins for match play.
And she kicks the 6th pin out.
The lanes have been a little bit tricky going for the spares this week. They break real hard. It's right towards the pins, and she was kind of unsure if she had that spare covered.
Robin Romeo, as you would expect, her parents are here, but oddly enough, Robin's father sitting to the right of Robin, and her mother sitting to the left on separate sides of the lanes. Right through the nose of the head pin leaves the 610.
She made the adjustment, not getting the ball out as far to the right of the lane. However, the ball ended up sliding through the oil, just catching the dry and hooking instantly in the back end towards the pins. Something we're finding very common here.
Robin trails by 23 pins. 3rd frame, match 1. Converts the 610 spare. But after being open in the 2nd frame, Robin Romeo needs strikes, not spares.
You'll notice when Robin does shoot her right-handed spares, she almost throws a backup ball at them or a very straight ball to prevent any chopping.
Let's see if she can make the adjustment.
The arm support that Robin's wearing is keeping her tendons tight. She's had a lot of wrist problems in the past. She was out for a good year with tendon problems in the top of her hand. Now she's finding her wrist hurting her.
She leaves the 4-7.
You notice on this shot, she gets a little farther inside her mark, actually coming around the ball a little bit too much, hitting the dry and the ball breaking right onto the nose, almost leaving her with a split, but breaking it up.
4 frames, and she has yet to hit the pocket. Picks up the 4-7. And we'll have more from the Brunswick LA Open after this. Coburn with the lead over Robin Romeo while you were away. Cindy Coburn with a spare and then a strike in the 5th frame. And here's Robin Romeo now in the 5th frame.
Robin is minus 23 pins. She needs to start striking here. Keep some type of pressure on.
And the first time she's hit the pocket.
A great shot.
Well, maybe she has made the adjustment. The first 2 frames, she was wide. Frames 3 and 4, she was too heavy on the head pin, and that one she hit it just perfectly.
Sometimes it takes a little while to get the feel of the lane, the feel of the crowd, the TV, all these factors. You've just got to loosen up and let the ball go.
Once again, a strike for Robin Romeo, 2 in a row.
The looser you get, the more likely you're going to carry the light hits, the high hits, and the pins will start falling for you.
The scores through 5 frames with Cindy Coburn now in the 6th, working on a strike.
Robin is only down 13 pins. Closed in on her a little bit.
Wow. Almost with the 4-7-10 split, but the 10 dropped at the last second. And luckily for Cindy Coburn.
Whenever Cindy sets the ball just a little bit short, not quite getting out on the lane as far, her ball seems to hook high into the head pin. You really need to project the ball to the right with the short oil pattern, or the ball just breaks so sharply when it comes out of the oil and hits the drive.
Picks up the 4-7. Oddly enough, both Cindy Coburn and Robin Romeo having some difficulty in this first match. And this week on these two lanes, lanes number 17 and 18, our TV pair, Cindy Coburn averaged 227, Robin Romeo 227.3. So both very successful on these two lanes.
That's right. This pair was a good pair for carrying the 10 pins and the high and light hits.
Cindy Coburn leading by 13 pins, 7th frame.
Again, going light on that shot. She carries the light switch and hit, making the adjustment from the high hit on lane 18.
Robin Romeo with a spare in the 7th. She's bowling in the 8th frame, trails by 16 pins.
Oh. You can hear the crowd's displeasure with that hit. It was a great shot, leaving a solid 8-pin. You really can't throw the ball much better than that. Sometimes when you leave the 8-pin, as you can see here, she comes through the ball super, gets into great rotation, and the ball just never hit the 8-pin.
Picks up the spare. And now Cindy Coburn in the 8th frame. And she's working on a strike. And you see the frustration of Robin Romeo knowing that she threw a good ball but didn't get the break.
That's tough to leave an 8-pin on TV when you're down. You can see the intense look in Cindy Coburn's eyes. She's got, like I said before, super concentration.
Well, she's wide there, leaving the 2, 4, 5 pins.
She got extremely fast in her push away, causing her to throw the ball to the right, not being in time at all.
Talking about the push away, she's using a tennis shoe on her right foot.
That's right. The girls have had a lot of problems this week with slipping on the approaches. They've been extremely slippery. By using a tennis shoe on the right foot, gets you a little more traction so you can get the leverage that you need to release the bowling ball. A difficult spare here. Maybe she can break it.
She doesn't leave an opening for Robin Romeo with the spare. And now the 9th frame for Cindy Coburn.
Cindy's up by 17. A 9th frame strike here would be her setup strike for the 10th frame. Could easily, well, she couldn't really lock Robin out because Robin finishes first.
Oh, disaster in the 9th frame, the 4, 7, 10. And you talk about an opening for Robin Romeo that she needed.
We're going to watch her reaction here. She went light on lane 18. She comes high here, and it's just, oh no. She knows she opened the door for Robin with that shot.
The 4, 7, 10 split.
Most likely she will go for the pin count, gets 2 pins. You know, she slipped a little bit going for the 4-7. Even with a tennis shoe on the right foot, you'd still slip a little.
So an open frame for Cindy Coburn in the 9th, and Robin Romeo with an opening. Robin has a possible 2-10 if she can strike out.
Robin can lock Cindy out. She needs 3 strikes to do it.
Strike number 1.
It's a great shot. She got that ball out onto the lane. It hooked back, ripping the 5 into the 7.
Well, a sign of a good competitor in bowling is when your opponent gives you an opening if you can take advantage of it.
That's right. Well, look at the replay here. As I said before, the 5 just goes right into the 7. It's a light hit, but they carried well here.
She needs 2 more strikes and then 4 pins, and she will be able to lock out Cindy Coburn. Strike 2.
Robin picked up her speed quite a bit. In the first 5 frames, she was a little hesitant, a little slow, trying to get, once again, getting used to those lights. I'm going to show her reaction real quick. She wants this one, and she got it.
Now a strike here and any kind of pin count, and she will win match number 1 here in the Brunswick LA Open.
I think we're going to hear the crowd go crazy if she gets this one.
She gets it. The 10-pin falls.
She got just a little tap she needed from that 6-pin falling in the channel and coming out and hitting the 10.
And now if she can just keep them between the channels here and take 4 pins with her, she will win match number 1.
I'm sure she won't have any problem doing that. She got the hard part over with.
You talk about a come-from-behind victory. This is like winning in the 9th inning.
She just wanted to keep it on the lane with the pin count.
Finishes with a 209. 209.
The most thing you can possibly shoot is 203. She would need all 3 strikes to do that.
So the match is over, and Robin Romeo will advance on the stepladder final. Will face Betty Morris. Well, it was the 4-7-10 split in the 9th frame that cost Cindy Coburn the match. And when you leave a good bowler like Robin Romeo, the opening like that, she'll take advantage of it. She did. And it's Robin Romeo advancing, not Cindy Coburn.
That's right. It looks like Robin just needs to keep her speed up. The last 5 shots she threw great. She had good power on the ball and good speed. 7.
And Cindy Coburn wants to roll this last ball as quickly as possible and head on to Sam's Town in Las Vegas for the Tournament of Champions next week, live here on ESPN.
That's the big one and the last one of our fall tour. The majority of the girls have already gone out to, headed out to Las Vegas.
So match number 1, Robin Romeo, a 209 to 193 winner over Cindy Coburn, and it's Robin Romeo advancing to take on Betty Morris in match number 2. ROBBY Award, sponsored by ROBBY Enterprises, is presented annually to the LPBT player whose image and conduct on and off the lanes best represents the image of women in professional bowling. Presenting the 1985 ROBBY Award to Robin Romeo of Van Nuys, California, on behalf of ROBBY's president, Robbie Robinson, is the 1984 ROBBY Award winner, Cindy Coburn of Buffalo, New York. And oddly enough, it was the 1985 winner defeating the 1984 winner in match number 1 today. And match number 2 has Robin Romeo versus Betty Morris.
We've got 2 California girls bowling here. Betty, recently from the Southern California area, has now moved back to Stockton. And Robin from Van Nuys. They've competed many times in the Western Women's Bowlers Association and many local tournaments around the area, as well on the national tour level.
Betty Morris, bowler of the decade in the 1970s, but hasn't won a pro tour event since 1980.
Talking to Betty a little bit, she said her concentration this week was going to be a lot stronger. She didn't feel as nervous today as she did a couple of weeks ago on TV.
Wow, that almost set a record for slowest strike.
She definitely got a lot of pin action there, almost leaving the bucket and ending up with the 8-pin. And you see here how the pins fall. She came through the ball pretty well, except getting it a little farther right than I think she wanted to. Not quite making it back. And there the pins just start falling, almost giving her that strike.
Picks up the 8 pin in the first frame.
We'll see if Robin here picks up her speed. She was mentioning last night that was hurting her on the short oil pattern, was the fact that she doesn't have a lot of ball speed, and it's essential to have that speed out here when the lanes hook.
Wow, leaves the 10.
The ball not finishing quite hard enough into the pocket, leaving the 6 pin in the channel.
Robin has definitely found the pocket, though. She finished with 3 strikes and a 9 count in the first match, and finds the pocket in the first frame here, but leaves the 10 pin.
That can be the advantage of coming up in one of the lower positions in ladder finals, as you get used to the lane. You get a feeling for the condition, and you get loose on the 10.
She absolutely rolls a flat, straight ball when going after that 10 pin or the 6-10 combination, as she did on that last pickup.
She does, and she has been doing that for a couple of years now. She perfected it. She got the rotation on that ball that she needed to carry out the 10 pin.
Powerful ball. She has found the pocket, the adjustments of the first few frames of that first match, and she's found the pocket. And Betty Morris, 13 pro titles, been on the tour 16 years, but hasn't won since February of 1980. She can break through today. And the 7 pin falls.
A great shot by Betty, throwing the ball a little far out to the right, but coming back, carrying the light hit, swishing the 5 into the 7. I asked Betty if her son was going to be here today, being that we were in California, and she said no, he was bowling his junior leagues. I'm going to watch Betty's reaction. She is a very emotional bowler. She gets really excited about carrying all her strikes, and she was saying, please, yes, and she got the 7 pin out.
Dead even after 2 frames. We're in the 3rd.
You'll also notice Betty is another of the bowlers that is wearing a tennis shoe on her right foot.
And she leaves the 10 pin on the left lane, lane number 17 here at the Brunswick Wonder Bowl. A 216.4 average this week, her tournament average, and another fine match play record for Betty Morris. There's the tennis shoes right there. The dry foot is the right foot, the slide foot the left foot.
Right. When you push the ball away, you've got to have that traction on your right foot or you can't get your leverage.
Hangs on. I think she was worried the ball might slide off into the channel, but he had hung on to pick up the 10 pin.
That's where the lanes have been extremely, or the approaches have been extremely slippery, going for those corner pins. And she talking to her earlier, she said she was having problems, especially with the 10 pins.
Robin Romeo, 3rd frame. Got it.
Robin is definitely lined in. Another great shot. She's keeping the ball right in between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. And I see here, going between the 2nd and 3rd arrow, good extension she has. The ball has great rotation, coming through and getting all 10 pins.
And a 10 pin advantage right now for Robin Romeo in the 4th frame. And doesn't even get the head pin, leaves the 1, the 2, and the 9. The 8, rather.
She's a little confused by that shot. She knows she got a little fast with her push away, really coming through it strong, but throwing up too far out right, knowing that wasn't going to come back. She's almost scolding herself with that one.
Hoping the 8 pin doesn't hide behind that 2. She gets him. Tough pickup for Robin Romeo, but she converts. And we'll have more from the Brunswick LA Open here in Anaheim, California. Betty Morris with a spare in the 4th frame, a strike in the 5th frame, and Robin Romeo leaving 2 pins here in the 5th frame.
Robin is up by 7 pins so far in this match.
Takes the 4-7 out.
Robin, like a lot of the other girls on tour, also enjoys working out and physical fitness. These type of things really help your game of bowling. A lot of leg work and leg exercises, since that's where most of the women get the majority of their power and their lift is from their legs.
Finds the pocket, gets the 10.
A good shot. Just getting that extra kick from the 6 pin, hitting the 10 pin.
Betty Morris, she has liked these two lanes on the TV pair. This week she has averaged 240.6, and against Robin Romeo in match play she won 245 to 227.
Unfortunately, those things, as far as the match play records goes, don't count once you get to this point.
She trails by 7 pins.
Strike hit to put her in the lead, and it does.
So a double for Betty Morris. And she now leads by 3.
You know, watch her reaction here. Betty, again, very emotional. Almost leading that ball over, and she carried it. You can really see where Betty's concentration is good today.
7th frame, and she's got a triple. So a 13-pin lead for Betty Morris in the 7th frame. We'll have more after this from the Brunswick Wonder Bowl in Ann. The Brunswick Wonder Bowl, and we're having some wonderful bowling going on right now. While away, Robin Romeo with a strike and then a spare in the 8th. She trails by only 4 pins to Betty Morris, working on a triple.
Robin let out a great shot for her strike, left a solid 4-pin in the 8th frame. And
4 in a row for Betty Morris.
Betty's got the carry out here today. She carried the light hit earlier. Here she carried a high hit. And again, you're going to see Betty's reaction.
And now the 9th frame for Betty Morris. You saw how important the 9th frame was in her first match when Cindy Coburn, with an open, left the door open for Robin Romeo to close her out. Betty has a possible 258 if she can strike out.
This is the crucial 9th frame. You want to get a good count or a strike to set it up.
5 in a row for Betty Morris.
She's bowling good today. Her concentration is there. She's loose. She said she wasn't as nervous. And when you're not as nervous, you're going to carry. A very emotional woman. See the replay here. She gets the ball out, but a lot of turn on it, hitting the head pin and carrying it.
And dissolving to Robin Romeo's shot, and she leaves the 10 pin.
Robin's luck hasn't been there with her today. She left the 4-pin the last frame, the 10-pin this frame. She's been in the pocket, close, not quite getting the right reaction on the ball to carry all 10 pins.
So a spare in the 9th for Robin Romeo.
Robin is pretty much out of this match. Even with 2 strikes here would only give her a possible 223. Betty would have to throw a real bad count. But we've seen stranger things happen on television, so you really never know. You can never give up.
Solid strike to open the 10th for Robin Romeo. She has a possible 223. Betty Morris not even wanting to look at the action. She's just concentrating on her next shot.
A lot of the players will not watch what the other players do. They're just keeping their mind on their own game, trying to concentrate.
Another strike in the 10th frame for Robin Romeo.
one more strike here, Betty will have to keep the ball on the lane.
Look at this. Not too much emotion from Robin Romeo. She knows what she has to do, and she did it with a strike there in the 10th frame. Her final ball. Finishes with a 222.
An excellent game by Robin. A little more luck, she could have carried a few other hits. She finishes with a fine 222. Betty needs 8 pins here to win the match. And the way she's thrown it, I don't really doubt that she's going to not get those 8 pins.
Working on 5 strikes in a row. Make it 6. And Betty Morris has won the second match here in the TV finals of the Brunswick LA Open.
Betty kept that shot more towards the center of the lane, not quite swinging the ball out as far to the right as she has been, making sure that she was going to get 8 pins.
Betty Morris gunning for her first tour victory since 1980.
Betty will be going against Jeanne in the next match.
Leaves a split, it doesn't matter, and you can see the relief on her face.
Betty's had problems winning on TV this year. She's thrown some great games. She's had some high scores, and everybody just seems to be a little bit higher than her.
Takes the 4-7. And match number 2 is completed. A 244 to 222 victory for Betty Morris. And Robin Romeo exits. But Betty Morris advances, and she will advance to take on Jeanne Maiden next on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour here from the Brunswick Wonder Bowl in Anaheim, California. Match number 3 of the Brunswick LA Open between Betty Morris and Jeanne Maiden from Solon, Ohio.
Jeanne's had a little bit of problems in the last few weeks. She hasn't been bowling as well as she wanted to or thought she could, and she went home in between tournaments and worked with her coach for a day, straightened out her release. She said the way she positioned the ball in the first step, she changed that, which changed her release, and it's really helped her this week because she's been bowling great all week.
And that was just a practice ball right there. Betty Morris, 244 in her first game on TV. In this stepladder finals, interesting match. You've got Betty Morris, considerable success in the 1970s, a drought in the 1980s, against Jeanne Maiden, who could be Bowler of the Year this year on the LPBT.
Betty took a lot of time off from the tour a few years back. She hasn't really been out full time. She just now came back in the last 2 years full time.
And leaves the bucket in the first frame. The 2-4-5-8.
Like she just got the ball a little inside her mark that time. This type of condition, you hit inside the oil tends to make the ball slide to the right, not quite getting the rotation on it or the turn to get to the headpin.
Wow, just slides out the 8-pin. The 4 coming in to slide out the 8-pin.
A very difficult spare here. We're going to watch it. You really want to go a little more direct than Betty did. She thought she was, but the ball caught the oil, just sliding to the right, never quite making the turn, but she got the break from the 4-pin hitting the 8.
Now Jeanne Maiden, 3 victories on the tour this year. And she starts by leaving the 7-pin. Well, she has 4 pro titles, 3 this year. Her first victory, the same place where you won yours, in Tacoma, Washington.
That's right. I was thinking about that last week, too. I thought, well, Jeanne won her first title here. I can do it, too.
Just 2 years ago, her first title ever, and 3 titles this year. That ties her with Lisa Wagner for most titles on the tour this year. So a win in this tournament would give her 4 titles, more than anyone else. And she starts with a spare, picking up the 7. And a 217.9 average this week for Jeannie Maiden.
Jeannie's really having her best year ever in her career with her 3 titles. Has put her second on the LPBT earnings list, and she's been bowling great.
Wow, through the nose of the head pin, leaving the 3-6-10, actually a little bit to the left.
If you set the ball short, as Cindy Coburn did in the first match, the ball will hook when it hits that dry, right through the nose. You've got to project the ball out on the lane. This also has been a very difficult spare, the 3-6-10 this week. Trying not to slide the ball too far to the right for the chop in, but she covers it great.
That's how you pick it up. Betty Morris now in the second frame. Jeannie Maiden with 2 spares in the first 2 frames.
I'm really amazed at the concentration in the eyes that Betty has this week. She told me earlier she was not going to let anything bother her. She has had distractions on TV before. She wasn't going to let anything bother her today.
Well, the 6-pin wouldn't kick out the 10 on that ball.
She's a little disgusted here not carrying out that 10-pin. She wanted it, and it didn't go. The ball not driving hard enough into the pocket.
A 2-pin lead for Betty Morris after 2 frames as she picks up the 10-pin.
You can see Betty is brushing her left shoe, her sliding shoe, trying to get a little traction on that shoe as well. Taking a deep breath before she goes up. Tends to make you just relax a little bit more so that you can be loose when you throw the ball.
3rd frame.
Great shot.
Wow, powerful ball. That one just hurried to the pocket.
She got super leverage on that ball coming through it. She's got a super extension. It's long. She really reached out with that one.
So we waited until the 3rd frame for our first strike in this 3rd match of the TV finals, the Brunswick LA Open. And Jeannie Maiden can't get the 10-pin to go.
Jeannie's really not getting the reaction on the ball from not setting the ball a little short. You're going to watch her reaction. She's coming through it a little too hard. She's like, please, and she didn't quite get the carry. And she wanted to carry that one. You can tell by her reaction.
Looks to the heavens, but no answer. And look out.
Ball caught the oil and just slid off to the right.
What happened on this one, Liana?
Well, as you can see there, the ball never quite rotates to the left. It just slides and keeps sliding. She hit the oil a little too fast, threw a little too hard.
And now trails by 14 pins and open in the 3rd frame, now in the 4th frame for Jeannie Maiden.
Ten pins have been a little tricky here. I'm sure the girls aren't excited when they see them.
Can't get the tap on the 4.
Trying to make up for the 10-pin on lane 18. She tried to go a little bit higher, making the adjustment and leaving the 4-pin. A relatively easy spare. Haven't had too many problems with them this week.
picks up the 4-pin, but Jeannie Maiden threw 4 frames without a strike. Match number 3 in the Brunswick LA Open. More after this. This with a strike in the 4th frame, now working on a double, has a 24-pin advantage over Jeannie Maiden.
A great shot, too, by Betty. She just nailed it right into the pocket.
Nails that one again. Has a triple.
She's carrying those light hits. Jeannie definitely needs to start striking. And we're going to watch Betty's reaction. She's a good one to watch on the reactions because she definitely gets excited. I know how she feels.
Finally, that first strike for Jeannie Maiden, but it's a powerful one, and that might give her confidence.
It was. She seemed to adjust her mark a little bit on lane 18. Got the ball a little bit farther out. And I watched Jeannie's extension also. She's got real good extension, really getting the ball out there, and it broke right into the pocket, carrying all 10 pins with a lot of power.
She trails by 34 pins. She needs to string strikes. 6th frame. And that spells disaster.
She did not get the extension on that ball, setting it short.
Where did she go wrong?
Right here is where she set the ball a little short, not getting it quite out on the lane as far as she did on the last shot. The ball hitting the drive, breaking instantly into the head pin, leaving her with that split.
The 6-7. And doesn't get either. The ball just sliding off the channel as it did earlier when she tried to pick up the 10-pin.
She's having a problem with the oil in the center of the lane and the ball sliding over. You try to adjust for the oil in the center. However, with the back ends towards the pins hooking very sharply, the adjustments are so crucial.
A 48-pin lead now for Betty Morris in the 6th frame.
Betty wanting to keep her lead, keeping the pressure on. She threw that ball circle again. She is definitely lined up.
A 58-pin advantage now in Jeannie Maiden. Knowing that it's just about over. That's a lot to make up. Actually, now it's a 58-pin advantage with that last strike for Betty Morris, and she has 4 in a row.
However, it is possible. Jeannie can strike out, putting pressure on Betty. You never know what can happen this early in the match. However, Betty doesn't look like she's going to let up. Another good shot.
5 in a row, and they're all in the pit. You've got 10 in the pit. So Betty Morris is rolling along to what looks to be an apparent victory and on to the championship in the LA Brunswick Open. More after this. In the 8th frame, Jeannie Maiden while we were away with 2 strikes, but Betty Morris needing just 1 pin to lock out.
No, she needs 1 mark. She definitely needs to keep marking.
Leaves the 10 pin, which stops her streak of 5 strikes.
Betty needs to pick up this 10 pin too. You can see her reaction. She wanted it to carry, and she went, "Oh no!" Again, the 10 pins are tough to pick up here. But the approach is being slippery. The lanes with oil in the center. She covers it well.
Now in the 9th frame, Betty Morris.
Betty is going at a 2:30 pace.
And the best possible score for Jeannie Maiden at this point would be 2:11.
Betty needs good count in her next 2 frames to actually lock up the match, or a spare here would lock it up also. she threw that ball extremely hard. Never really having enough time to hook up to the headband. Threw it way out to the right.
Leaving the 2-5-8. We didn't want to say Jeannie Maiden was out when she trailed by 58 pins, because you trailed by 58 last week and came back and won.
That's right. Here you can see Betty's shot there, just not making it up to the head pin. She needs to convert these spares. The match is now over.
The match is now over. And so Betty Morris will advance to the championship match against NIKKI Gianulias. And Jeannie Maiden will try to have 2 good frames and pack up and leave for Samstown for next week's tournament. It's live here on ESPN, 12:30 Eastern Time. Well, Jeannie's saying that's the way it's been going all game so far, with the exception of the 2 strikes that she had in the 7th and 8th frames.
You have a tendency, when you know the match is over like that, just to get up there and get the shot over with. You don't want to take really away from the momentum of the other bowler that you are bowling against. And you don't really take as much time.
So Jeannie Maiden open in the 9th frame.
She has a possible 172 with 3 strikes here. This does not lock Jeannie Maiden out for Bowler of the Year honors.
No, what it really does, it throws it wide open for next week, because she has 3 tour victories. So does Lisa Wagner, and Cindy Coburn has 2. So it's wide open.
And Lori Nichols has 1, but she has 4 seconds.
Yes, Lori Nichols is 2nd on the tour in money earnings this year. $1,500 for 3rd place for Jeannie Maiden.
A good check for the week.
Betty Morris wondering, look at that grin, finally relaxing, telling herself that the drought might be over.
That's right. She's got 1 more match to go. However, it's against NIKKI, and NIKKI's been on TV for the last 4 weeks. And she's caught everybody when they've been at their best, and it looks like she's going to catch Betty at her best also.
Well, something is going to have to give in our final match, because Betty Morris hasn't won since 1980. NIKKI Gianulias in the last 4 weeks on the fall tour has 2 second-place finishes, 2 third-place finishes. Ever the bridesmaid for NIKKI Gianulias.
It's going to be an exciting match coming up. And Jeannie finishes with a 172. Betty has a possible 245.
Well, she had 244 in her game against Romeo.
She's bowling great. Again, keeping the ball right between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. A little bit tighter that time, not getting the ball quite out as far to the right on the lane.
And even though the match is over, you know that Betty Morris wants to roll good balls here to stay in the groove for the championship match. So these are important for her.
Right, sure she does. She wants to know that her shot's there. For one thing, it would build her confidence if she could strike out. However, it was close. She had carried that shot before, and she left the 4th in that time. It's just a little bit higher.
Even though the match is over, she wants to strike just as much now in the 10th frame as she did in the 1st frame.
Taking a little time to brush her left shoe so that she doesn't slip. Betty has an extremely open arm swing. Her arm really opens to the right, but she closes just in time so that she can get good leverage and good roll and turn on the ball.
And finishes with 234, so a 234 to 172 victory over Jeannie Maiden. And Betty Morris advances to the championship match against NIKKI Gianulias, and that's coming up next here on ESPN. Today for the finals of the 1986 Brunswick Los Angeles Open. NIKKI Gianulias taking her final warm-up tosses here on the TV pair.
The tip Karen was talking about, the extension, is an excellent tip. You notice with the bowlers here on in our final match, Betty Morris and NIKKI both have extremely good extensions. They're get the ball really far out on the lane.
You know, we were talking about something has to give in this final match. NIKKI Gianulias, actually in her last 5 tournaments, she has finished second 3 times and third twice. So something has to give. She's been ever the bridesmaid so far the last 5 tournaments.
That's true. One of them is going to give in here. Unfortunately, they won't give in. NIKKI's been bowling good.
And again, that is just a warm-up toss right there for NIKKI.
NIKKI's had an incredible match play performance here. She went 20 wins and 4 losses. It's got to be close to the record, if not setting the record.
In case you're wondering what NIKKI Gianulias' average on the TV pair, lanes 17 and 18, have been this week, 251. That is incredible.
It is. Betty's was 240.
And the manager of the Brunswick Wonder Bowl here in Anaheim, Ted Stallings, a fine tournament stage this week.
We've had a great week here. Everybody's been real friendly. And hopefully we'll return to the LA area next year.
We are literally in the shadow of Disneyland here at the Brunswick Wonder Bowl. You just go down to the next stoplight, make a left, and you're at the Magic Kingdom.
That's right. We tried to go there this week. Unfortunately, they closed at 6 p.m. and we were bowling. We never made it there.
And some final rolls, practice rolls for NIKKI Gianulias.
I think NIKKI's going to take a different attitude this week. She's, you know, lost 4 times on television, and it's just like one of those things. I think she's going to be very loose out there, and her concentration's probably going to be very good also.
From Vallejo, California, 7 years on the tour, 9 pro titles, none this year.
NIKKI is starting the match. Starts the ball pretty low. Has a great push away, and there's that extension.
You talk about making a left turn into the pocket. That ball just did that.
NIKKI has great power on the ball. She gets it mostly from her upper body as well as her legs. And she is also taking time to dampen her shoe, clean her hands.
Now Betty Morris, 244 in her first game today, 234 in her second game. Starts with a strike.
There's where the power of Betty's ball. She gets the 5-pin just blowing out the 7-pin at the 6-pin, kicking out the 10. And Betty, again, is going to get to see a lot of that emotion this game. I think she kicked that out with her hands as well as the 6-pin kicking the 10.
Bowling with confidence, Betty Morris.
Her last victory, 1980. She said to me, it's almost been 7 years since I've won.
It might only be about 15 minutes until she wins again.
Betty's really been bowling well all year.
She looks exhausted there, sitting behind NIKKI Gianulias, but look at the tournament average for NIKKI Gianulias, and again, averaging 251 on the TV pair.
NIKKI came to a slow start. She qualified in one of the top positions, but after the first round of qualifying, she was not doing as well.
Boy, that 8-pin wouldn't go.
We saw that earlier in the match against Robin.
Looks like a good ball when it left the hands, but leaves the 8-pin. What happened, Lee Island?
When you leave a solid 8-pin, it's a great shot. There's not a whole lot you can say about it. The ball driving excessively hard into the pocket, but just not kicking out the 8-pin. It just deflects right before it gets to that 8-pin.
If some sports are a game of inches, bowling has to be a game of millimeters, because that ball missed that pin by a millimeter.
A bad break for NIKKI. She could have used that double to keep the pressure on Betty. However, it was a good shot.
Look at Betty Morris absolutely concentrating on her next shot, not wanting to know what Nikki is doing, just thinking about the next time she gets up and rolls. And some deep breaths. It has to be for relaxation right now because the tension is here.
That's right. You can see it in her face. She doesn't want to watch. Nikki is probably going to just stay with the same shot as she just did. It was a great ball. She shouldn't change anything. She carried before.
Oh, my gosh. Well, a couple of bedposts sitting up there right now, the 7-10.
She has to, she did adjust, or she threw it a little bit farther right, but getting another bad break. Coming through the ball, really good. The ball hitting just a little bit lighter, not quite making it back up. Hits the 5-pin, but doesn't drive it into the 7, leaving her the 7-10 split.
The reaction.
Her reaction is that she's going to come back, and she almost will smile at the end because it's like, not again. She left 2 bad breaks in a row, 2 shots that could have carried and been struck.
Takes the 10-pin, but Nikki Gianulias open in the 3rd frame, and she says, I can't get a break. 5 weeks in a row, I've been 2nd or 3rd, and you know she's going to finish at least 2nd in this tournament.
I know what's going through her mind. It's what can you do to strike? Again, two good shots. She could have been right there along with Betty with 3 strikes in a row. But those are the breaks of bowling.
Betty Morris, a 23-pin advantage. 3 in a row to start the game.
Everybody's come up from the bottom also to beat Nikki. In the last 4 tournaments, the winners have been from the 5th place position, the 2 4th places, and a 3rd place. Betty, again, superb shot, just keeping it right between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. Good rotation and great reaction.
We've seen that shot a lot today because Betty Morris has been rolling the strikes. She starts off with a triple.
I'm sure she feels very, very comfortable out here.
She's 4 in a row, the 10-pin goes.
Getting great reaction. Getting the trip off the 6th pin, the little tap into the 10-pin. And take a deep breath and just keep her head down and keep her concentration. She has to stay on top of it. And here's her reaction again.
43-pin advantage for Betty Morris. But
she's happy with herself.
We've got a long way to go. Only in the 4th frame, Nikki Gianulias, but she needs a strike.
And Nikki has had three hits that could have all been strikes as well.
Well, there's a solid strike. And again, Betty Morris looking like she's into transcendental meditation almost. Absolutely concentrating, relaxing herself, taking deep breaths, not watching what her opponent is doing, just thinking about the next time she gets the ball in her hands. And so far it's working. She has 4 strikes to begin this championship match of the Brunswick LA Open.
Nikki has also very good concentration. She wouldn't have gotten as far as she has on the tour with her records tell it there. She's a good match play bowler, and she carried.
Well, Nikki Gianulias will not lay down and quit. There is no question about that. After that open frame, she has 2 strikes in the 4th and 5th frames, and now Betty Morris gets up for the 5th frame, and she has nothing but X's on the scoreboard.
I believe Betty is also tied for the number of sanctioned 300. Correct.
Oh, and the 10-pin stays.
I shouldn't have said that. I know I jinxed her.
Well, the 6-pin ringing around the 10, and the crowd still gives her a nice round of applause.
A great shot. The ball just finishing a little late. Throwing that 6-pin right around the 10. Almost too good. Too good of a shot. She knew she put it in the pocket, but not a 10-pin.
Right now, Betty Morris just wants to stay clean. She doesn't want any open frames. With a 32-pin advantage, if she can keep clean with strikes and spares, she will win this tournament. But NIKKI Gianulias, again, she's looking straight ahead, but when Betty Morris gets up at the line, NIKKI will not watch.
The players are actually bowling against the pins. I mean, they're bowling against each other, but it's whoever knocks down the most pins. So what the other player does really shouldn't matter to you. I mean, you've got to go out there and try to get strikes every time you put that ball off.
Well, the best direction to the pocket, Betty Morris has definitely found today.
NIKKI won't let up, though. You'll see she will put the balls in the pocket the next few frames. She has a chance. The opening in the 5th frame where Betty left the 10 pin actually gave an opening to NIKKI. As long as Betty didn't strike out for 300, NIKKI had a chance.
And a solid strike for NIKKI Gianulias. And right now, the difference in the match is that 7-10 split in the 3rd frame for NIKKI Gianulias. Other than that, the bowlers have been even.
That's right. Here you can see the extension on NIKKI's arm. Super extension, great rotation on the ball, getting all 10 in the pit. I think NIKKI has to be pretty loose today, being on TV. Again, this is her 5th appearance in a row.
Boy, she's powerful. She's got 4 in a row.
A great shot, and she's smiling again.
Actually, this really is keeping the pressure on Betty Morris because Betty knows she can't make a mistake or NIKKI will take advantage.
That's right. A great shot there by NIKKI. Throwing that 5 pin into the 7. You can see her reaction.
Absolutely destroying the pins on that roll, and now Betty Morris.
NIKKI is actually one of the most powerful bowlers on the tour, if not the most powerful.
Nothing but strikes for Betty Morris in this championship match, except for in the 5th frame when she left the 10 pin. Now in the 7th frame.
Here's where you see the pressure.
She knows she's got it. Every time she gets to the line, the hands go up in the air. She knows she has it.
You see that ball great, answering back to NIKKI's 4 strikes in a row. Through the ball, right between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. Good extension. And great rotation on the ball, and that same reaction of all 10 pins.
That right there is the camera shot of the day. That says it all in the Brunswick LA Open. Betty Morris, a 22-pin advantage, 8th frame, working on 2 strikes. Light hit, and the 7-pin doesn't go.
Betty's been carrying most of those hits. She's getting applause from the crowd here. Her light hits have been carrying. Here's her reaction again. She's trying to jump that pin down, and it's no. She knows she has to keep striking and keep the pressure on NIKKI.
Still has a 21-pin advantage.
Both of these gals could actually have all 8 strikes. They have been in the pocket all 8 times.
Right, NIKKI Gianulias, even on that 7-10 split back in the 3rd frame, she was in the pocket.
NIKKI knows what she has to do. The only thing she can do is keep striking. Betty has been so consistently in the pocket, and they're both such competitive bowlers. They take the pressure so good.
10-pin. You talk about the 6 putting a collar on the 10-pin. That's what happened that time. 4 strikes in a row going into that frame for NIKKI Gianulias, leaving the 10.
A good shot by NIKKI here. The ball going, looked like it slid in the oil a little bit too much. Not quite getting into the pocket soon enough. Just finishing a little late, throwing the 6 around the 10.
Actually, the 6 got just a little bit of the 10, but not enough.
That's where bowling within millimeters, as you said before, could have made the difference on that shot. Speed could have made the difference on that shot. There are so many factors. There's really nothing you can change when you're leaving those either. Nikki's asking for a re-rack. She is allowed one a game. The pins possibly being offset. Could be why she left the 8-pin in the first frame.
Nikki has a possible 236. 9th frame. It's a strike.
Nikki really needs this strike because this would force Betty to keep marking or even possibly catching a double.
Ninth frame.
Again, a very crucial shot for Nikki. The way the last 8 frames have been spin in the pocket.
Right through the nose of the head pin, leaving the 3-6-10.
Setting that ball very, very short. Not getting the extension on it. Not getting the ball out on the lane. The ball hit the dry and hooked right through the nose.
That's the first time we've seen Betty Morris's eyes open when she's not up at the line.
She had to take a look at the score, making sure just exactly what that meant.
Converts to 3-6-10. And a 25-pin advantage for Betty Morris. Here's where we stand as Betty Morris gets ready for the 9th frame. And she has all strikes except for a spare in the 5th and the 8th frames. And again, those were pocket spares all the way.
Betty must stay clean for at least one of the next 2 frames to lock up this match. Just won her the title.
So Betty Morris, it's been a long drought since February of 1980. Almost 7 years.
You can see right here in the face, yes.
All she has to do is keep the ball on the lane.
That's right.
And she's the winner.
The highest possible game Nikki can have is 223. I think we may see tears from Betty also.
Think about it. You're the bowler of the decade in the 1970s. You haven't won since February of 1980. But you're doing it today.
This is another good shot. We've seen it over and over again. Perfect. She's got a great line to the pocket today. Keeping it as straight as possible between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. She's saying, all right. And she got a little fast.
3 in a row. We literally missed seeing a perfect game in this championship match from Betty Morris by just a couple of 10 pins, a couple of millimeters on a 10 pin, and that was it. That's how close we were to seeing a perfect game from Betty Morris, the winner of the Brunswick LA Open, and the $5,000 check that goes along with it.
There's the tears in Betty's eyes. You can see them.
I'll bet she rolls the strike with tears in her eyes the way she's rolling today. Look at that 10 and up hit.
And this is a very, very happy moment for Betty. She's been bowling good, and there's the tears again. I know how she feels. She's come a long way, going again all the way up from the number 3 position. She bowled excellent. She bowled great. A 258 game.
Once again, NIKKI Gianulias, 2nd place. She's done that 4 times the last 6 weeks.
She's smiling. She doesn't know what she can do. Everybody gangs up on her. You know, she's bowling a good game. She bowled a good game last week. Every tournament she's bowled well.
Well, when you roll 258 in the final game, it's very, very hard for Betty Morris. Now, in her 3 games, a 234, a 244, and a 258, Betty Morris was 736. And look at this. The emotion too much for Betty Morris. Meanwhile, on the lanes, NIKKI Gianulias realizing that no eyes are on her. All eyes are on Betty Morris. 736 series, 3 games on television, a 736.
That's right. Excellent bowling by Betty.
And NIKKI Gianulias with 9 pins on her last ball. The winner of the 1986 Brunswick LA Open is Betty Morris, a 258-222 victory over NIKKI Gianulias. Long time for a $5,000 victory check for Betty Morris, but the wait is over. February of 1980, the last time she stood in this position. And getting a fine hand from everyone here at the Brunswick Wonder Bowl in Anaheim, California. John Macusa, the Vice President of Operations, Brunswick Recreation Centers, making the trophy presentation, and the $5,000 check from Glenn Christie from Dewey Stevens. $5,000 for Betty Morris, and listen to this, in her 3 games on TV, 244, 234, 258, a 736 series for Betty Morris. The Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour moves to Sam's Town in Las Vegas, Nevada for the Sam's Town National Pro-Am. We will have the finals live here on ESPN next Saturday at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. The Dewey Stevens Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour Fall Tour has been brought to you by Dewey Stevens Premium Light, the wine cooler with a clean, fresh taste and 1/3 less calories. Dewey, you do me right. By Brunswick, making bowling better. And by Video Shopping Mall for the best buys and business opportunities in home shopping now on your local cable system. This has been a production of Bud Sports.